Welcome to Rector Whatever. You're here listening to your host, Don't Forget Sauce, here to give you the behind the scenes access to DeFi and Web3. Hi guys, welcome to episode 3 of Wrecked or Whatever. If you're still here in this bear market and weathering this storm, congratulations. It's been a long one, but it'll be worth all the trial and tribulations in the end. What I do hope though is throughout this market, you've been building, you've been learning, and you've been educating yourself ultimately with the ins and outs of why we're truly here and why decentralization is important. The bear market has opened all our eyes. I feel like it's given us a chance to really analyze certain situations, individuals, or even projects. And one of the big things I feel like in this space right now that we're analyzing are false educators. So let's get into it. By false educators, I mean the ones that are in this space that pretend they're not here for the money, that they're here to help you grow, and ultimately they want you to grow together. However, the bigger the following they get, they take advantage of their community for their own benefit. Let's be honest though. We're all adults because in real life, if someone tells you to jump off a bridge, you're not going to say how high. And although these false educators do use and abuse our system, what are we as individuals doing to hold ourselves accountable? Accountability is something that we do miss in this space. So, are you educating yourself in what these false educators are shilling? Are you taking the time to check and see if they even hold a project that they're paid to shill? I mean, being paid to shill isn't a bad thing. And it doesn't matter as long as you say you're paid to shill. As well, when these influencers or false educators are paid to shill, what are their backgrounds? What other tokens or projects have they been involved in? Because let's be honest here, majority of them are recycled, and they always do the same things again and again. So in certain times and situations, you didn't make a mistake yourself. So like I said, accountability. The only person that will look out for you is you. And this space is the wild, wild west. We can't look at other people's intentions. All we know is why we're here and why we're here to invest. And if we're following the wrong people, listening to the wrong advice, if you don't figure out things sooner or later, it'll only be a detriment to yourself. So the sooner you take things into your own hands and take the time to do your own research and not listen to these little tidbits these false educators give you, you'll be better off. And one person in this crypto space that I love to follow is on Twitter is at ZachXBT. He exposes some of the most shocking and interesting stories in Web3. One person that he covered in particular was about an ongoing investigation into a crypto influencer by the name of Lark Davis. And he goes by the name on Twitter at the Crypto Lark, and I'm not saying follow any of these people, but I'm just letting you know what's going on. And based on the story that was covered by ZachXBT, you see there are various examples of how Lark promoted low cap projects only to shortly dump on his followers shortly after. And one of the biggest red flags in any of these influencer stories is how these token projects gave them free tokens later to dump on their communities. These influencers are not the only ones to blame in situations like these. I blame these broke-ass developers who launch projects without the funding to pay influencers in nothing but their native token. If you're going to take somebody on, pay them in Ethereum or USDT, USDC, but never your native token. And any project or token that gives an allotment of their supply to anyone to shill is an automatic red flag. And when I say educate yourself, one of the best things you can do for yourself is learning how to read Etherscan. Etherscan will tell you a story that these developers and educators will never. I do not care if tokens are vested. I do not care any of the supply that's vested for these influencers that you've given them. That is not the way to ever bring on anyone for marketing. I will never care if it's vested. Set up a sustainable ecosystem to protect your holders and your project. Devs shouldn't even get an allotment of their supply. If you believe in your token enough, buy in at launch. Show us you care about your project enough to use your hard-earned money on the token or project you've developed. If developers want to be taken seriously going forward, they need to stop with the greed. Your useless reflections mean nothing, and the more educated your community gets, the more they will open their eyes. The past of don't look, don't tell will never be going on going forward. And the more we adapt and the more we take time to learn, the more things that we will begin to realize we will no longer accept. For me, it's useless tokenomics. So let's stop that. A dev reserve. I feel like when tokens have a dev reserve, they get lazy. I feel like it's a common consensus where I really haven't found a token with a dev reserve that hasn't gotten lazy. I think it's laughable, the things that are accepted in this space. But in the end, I know what I'm willing to put my money into and what I'm not. And I hope you all take time to look into what really benefits you. Beyond the smoke and mirrors, I really hope you take a chance to seek your own education, whether that's figuring out how to use Etherscan, figuring out what DEX Tools is, looking into what's a false pump or not. Really take time to look into things that benefit you, because you yourself only know your own intentions and know what you want out of this space. And if we're going to be able to push decentralization, we really need to take things into our own hands. We really need to understand why we're here. And the biggest part of taking things into our own hands is being accountable, because we don't want regulation. We're here to take control of our futures and write our own path. We're here for mass adoption because we don't want to be controlled any longer. So let's stop with the bad habits. Let's figure out why we get wrecked and make sure it ultimately doesn't happen again. And with that, I hope you all have a lovely evening or morning wherever you are in this world.